thank you, Professor Reed, for allowing us to interview you and to meet with us on behalf of IE. And we're looking forward to the study abroad trip you have in the fall. And please tell us more about the study abroad trip.
Well, so the study abroad trip is going to occur from the 8th of September to the 2nd of December in London. So it's a 12-week semester, and students will be required to take 4 courses while they are in London. One of those courses will be taught by a local instructor, and it is British civilization and culture. So as a part of that course, they will be, not in a classroom. They will be touring all of the amazing sights and sounds of London. So they'll be going to the British Museum, they'll be going to the Portrait Gallery, they're going to go see Shakespeare's New Globe Theatre, which burned down in the 1600s, but was, has since been reconstituted. And there's even an opportunity for them to go see a Shakespearean play. So that's one of the courses that they're going to go ahead and take. And then there are 2 instructors that are going. I'm one of them, and I'm teaching 4 different communication courses, so they can pick one or as many of those as they want to. And then Professor Erin Tate, she is an instructor at Citrus College, and she teaches psychology. She is also teaching 3 courses as well. And if students say, well, I need a particular course, they do need to take as many courses as possible with the instructors that are there. The British Civilization course is a mandatory course. But if they say need to take 1 class online to, help them graduate on time, then they are allowed to do that as well. So, we're kind of flexible about that as well. And the fantastic thing about study abroad programs is, it's not going to be like taking a public speaking class in a classroom in Palm Desert. It's going to be utilizing all of the, the fantastic environment that is London, that's England, and really bringing that alive in the classroom. So as an example, the public speaking class that I'm going to be teaching, we are going to be looking not just at, doing presentations. The content of those presentations will be, something from England, will be issues, dealing with England or famous people in England. But we're also going to look at, careers that you can explore in the field of communication, and, what great place. London is a gigantic city. It's an amazing place to, experience all of those. But great speakers, great speeches in our history and in English history. So as an example, there's a place called Hyde Park Speakers Corner. It's been going on for 150 years. And every Sunday, speakers get up and they will orate on topics of the day. So, very famous speakers like Karl Marx have spoken there. George Orwell spoke there as well. So the speakers are very, very accomplished. The students will get to experience those great speeches. So I'm hoping by, exposing them to amazing speakers, it will inspire them to be even better presenters than themselves. We're going to go to Parliament. I don't know if you know anything about how British democracy works, but we have a pretty raucous democracy here, but it's nothing compared to how the British skewer each other on a daily basis in their parliament. So the students are going to get a chance to experience that as well. So it is bringing the content alive in a wonderful foreign city that students will get to experience every single day.
Wow, that sounds fantastic. I had little information coming into this, but the way the program has organized and has the classes and the tourism, because I wasn't sure if students were able to, adventure out, and that is very amazing to hear that. Not only are you going to the big tourism, you're also hitting the most important historical things that help us learn more about, the British history completely. And that leads me to my next question. How will students be able to, what does the program cover? What do the students need to financially cover as well? What should students know about that part?
Well, that is a big question, and there are lots of things to talk about. So the program fee, um, it may seem like it is a lot at first, but there are a lot of ways that they can, sort of mitigate the cost of doing this. It'll be between $7,000 and $9,000 at the end of the day, but the students will end up paying a lot less than that because there will be financial aid and there will be scholarships. So you'll be taking courses, right? And I know a lot of students are already on financial aid, and that will take care of the cost of, actually going to school. And then there are other pockets of financial aid that are available for students to help them, sort of ameliorate the cost. But what is included in that cost is pretty amazing. Um, the British Civilization and Culture course will entitle students to go and travel to just about any of the museums and cultural experiences in London. And many of those are free, just to the normal public, or there's a nominal cost. Students won't have to pay any of those things. So like if on a Saturday you decide, well, I'm really interested in, I don't know, there's a transportation museum, for example, they can go to that and experience that for free. So that part of the experience will be covered. They also get what's called an Oyster card. The Oyster card is the Metro pass that covers zones 1 and 2. London is a very large, sort of sprawling city, and they won't have to pay for their transportation within it. They have 2 options when it comes to where they're going to stay. So there's a homestay where you will stay with a British family, and you'll have access to their kitchen and whatever. And that's a little bit less expensive of an option for the student. And I think 1 meal a day is covered there as well. And a lot of the time, the students will be out and about and doing, all kinds of stuff. So there are over 300 languages spoken in London, and the cuisines. That's one of the things I'm most excited about is, just getting a falafel at a street corner, or the Indian food is supposed to be the best Indian food outside of India. There's Pakistani food, so Sri Lanka, Burma, Turkish. I'm very excited about those because I'm a foodie as well. The other option is for students to stay in dorms, and the dorms are very near campus, and that's a little bit more expensive for the students because it's sort of centrally located. There's no meals included in that, so students will have, I think there's a kitchenette, they'll be able to take care of all that stuff themselves. But again, when you think about the cost, this is a super valuable experience. And if you were to go to a 4-year school and do this, you would be spending twice as much money to do the exact same things because the program costs are much higher. So students will have their transportation, they'll have all of these cultural experiences they'll be able to partake in. They'll have the wonderful experience of being around, other students, faculty who are excited to sort of host them around, and experiences that are going to last a lifetime. There's also a $600 package of things that students can participate in. And this will be something like going to Stonehenge, which is outside of London, and will incur sort of additional transportation fees. And that as part of that, there's also an excursion to Scotland, to see the Loch Ness Monster or whatever they can find up there. But again, that's a very inexpensive part of the trip as well. So it's a very good value. We understand that we are catering to community college student, and I think it's a very worthwhile program. And it's a great deal, especially, if it's something that you want to do and you want to save a little bit of money. We are going to take care of you. Both Professor Tate and I have been doing extensive research, and we are ready to kind of curate your tour of London, so to speak.
That sounds amazing. Is the program available, the study abroad trip, is it available for all students? Not or does it have to be like specific major? Like, oh, it would be best if, I don't know, a literature major would come rather than a culinary major to come, since they're two different worlds? Or can anyone from any major come and have this experience in their academic career?
Well, so there are a couple of caveats on that, but for the most part, everybody is welcome. You want to look at the courses that are being offered, and you want to speak to your counselor before you sign on the dotted line to see whether or not you need the courses. But yes, it's generally open to anybody who wants to have this experience. And the courses I'm offering are all either eligible for transfer or they satisfy a GE requirement. And the same goes for Professor Tate's courses as well. And if there's something, again, like you find an online course at Citrus College, because students will technically be students of Citrus College while this is occurring, you'll just say, oh, there's an online I don't know, chemistry or literature course that I want to take because I need that to graduate. And certainly that is an option for them. So I would encourage anybody, if they have questions, to either speak with Cody or myself or their counselor to see if it's a good fit in terms of the courses being offered. I'd say that's the only limitation.
And is there an email, which contact information is best for students who would like to ask you questions and concerns? Should they go to your email, a COD email?
Yes, so the one you have is great. And you have Cody's information as well. You can also, any questions can be routed to him. I mean, I have been doing these presentations for about 6 months now. So I think I know as much as anybody about, program costs and what students are going to be doing. So I'm perfectly happy to answer as many questions because I think it's a valuable experience for students. I've traveled a lot in my lifetime. I've not yet been to London. I did do a study abroad program in Dominican Republic for Spanish language immersion. And I can just tell you that it's a worthwhile experience, and that if anybody, has even the slightest interest and is able to put together, the financials to be able to do it, they should, because it's a life-changing experience that will be so valuable to them. And again, they'll make friends that will last forever. And if you look at, the success rates, students who are in study abroad programs, they graduate faster, they make more money, they get jobs faster after they've graduated. So these are increasingly the kinds of skills that employers look for, the ability to communicate internationally. And some of the students, you may never want to come home, you may not want to come back, you may find that you have the travel bug, or that you want to live and work outside of the United States as a result of it. And I highly encourage that belief. I think that's a great attitude to have.
I think that answers my next question. I was going to ask you, from your experience, because I could tell already that you have a lot of experience traveling and have a lot of an open-minded knowledge about everything. What would be your advice to students that are debating, that are a little more shy about studying abroad? Because it is a completely different atmosphere going to London, and culture-wise. And what is your input for students that are in that position?
Yeah, I mean, that's a very, very good question. And the first time anybody, because I realize that a lot of the students that are going to be coming aren't going to be experienced travelers, and they may be, a little bit hesitant. But one of the things I would say about this particular program is we're not going to Japan, we're not going to Italy, we're not going to Spain, we're not going to France, we're going to England. So they speak English. So if you're looking to dip your toe into the water with a program that's going to be, easier for you, then this is the program to go ahead and do that with, because there won't be the culture shock of having to communicate using a different language. Now, of course, they use words like loo and trousers and schedule and tea and all that kind of stuff that, they may use that differently than we do, but it's not going to be the shock. My first trip outside of the country was to Australia. So it was a baby step in terms of language, even though it was across the Pacific Ocean. So I would say, that is the first thing, is it's going to be easier to do this program than it is in other countries. And then I would just again reiterate the benefits and advantages of doing this program. Nobody ever finishes one of these programs and says, gosh, I wish I hadn't done that. No, that's not ever been said by anybody who's gone on a foreign trip. So while you may be hesitant to do it because you're nervous about, being away from your family or whatever, that is a natural feeling. And you're going to be with people who are in the same boat, and you're going to be with instructors who have experience dealing with that. So you're going to have a support system while you are over there. And, it isn't like, 20 or 30 years ago, if you did this and there was no internet, you can talk to your family every single day if you get homesick. And again, it's only 3 months, so it'll go by so quickly. So I remember when I was a kid and I went to summer camp, I remember that I would be, crying when I got on the bus because I missed my mommy. And then, an hour later, I met a new friend and I'd completely forgotten about her. And when I came back home, I was crying because I was not going to see my friends for another year or whatever. So it'll be that kind of experience, that the anxiety will fade almost immediately and be replaced by the excitement of traveling.
That's very encouraging for any student that is a little hesitant coming in that position. And before I let you go, as an avid traveler, what are you most excited for? I know you mentioned food. I know you're a foodie, but what are you looking forward coming into this trip?
Well, I mean, that is a big question. And I think I would just say that it's always been a dream of mine to live in another country. I have traveled extensively, but I've never spent this amount of time in another country. So it'll be a really interesting experience to use the subway every day. I mean, that's not something that we do, but you can't get around in London without doing that. And yes, I do want to experience all the food. I want to, I'm told you can see famous people just every day walking down the street. So, I'm excited, maybe I'll meet the Queen and have tea with her or whatever. But yeah, I mean, just for me, it's the opportunity to live in a place and get your bearings and see how that changes you for the better. Because I think that anything that does not kill you makes you stronger. I'm a firm believer.
Absolutely.
So this will be an empowering experience, I think, for everybody, and that includes the 2 instructors that are going to go over there. So
thank you so much, Professor Reed, for meeting with us again and for us to have an opportunity to learn more about the study abroad program.